Let's take America back.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. This is the National Intel Report. Ooh, you're getting the hang of it. That was smooth. On this Tuesday, I forgot where I was in the introduction. At any rate, you know where you're at, and you know what you're going to hear today. Fresh information about the economy, housing, and all that other stuff going on out there. And as always, the Three Musketeers. And we must make Robbie more inclusive. I've been hearing complaints from our gold suppliers that listen to this program every Tuesday that Robbie is being too laid back and he should get more involved. Bob, they actually said that. Hello, Robbie. Well,
he's laid way back.
Oh, gosh. Robbie Noel. Come in, Robbie Noel. Where is he? You got him on the ISDN. Well,
on a slow boat to China.
Maybe he's on his way to a slow boat to Ford Bay or wherever that is down there.
No, that was Jeffreys Bay.
Ah, Jeffreys Bay.
Home of the great white shark.
I see. Yes. The hot human bag lunches down there. Yeah. You know, it always fascinated me, Bob. People complain about sharks and, geez, they like to surf and everything. The problem is where the surf is the best, it's where the great whites feed. They're not stupid. And they get the errant human being on a surfboard every once in a while, a little whatever, and it looks like a hot lunch to them. It just never,
that's right,
never ends.
Well, anything that moves, they bite at, that's for sure.
Sounds like a banker, doesn't it?
That's a great line.
Well, we'll get Robbie up here. I don't know. He's Bob. He's there. He's playing games with us.
Is that right? What a devil! I'm
telling you, he's flat out ornery, isn't he?
Well, you know how older men get.
Hey, I have been searching high and low. There was a story on Bloomberg. The talking heads, they were talking. And they had folks on talking about the economy and this, that, and the other. Oh, and the health bill that might be in danger of not passing. And, Bob, geez, we must have done our work rather well because even the cheerleaders for Wall Street are starting to use terminology which, you know, it's no great shakes, you know, as far as the patriot community is concerned or concerned Americans, good, real Americans out there. But they were talking about health care and, well, the mandated from the federal government and, well, what about the states and their rights? I'm listening to this and
that's unheard of.
I
think they're really concerned that it's not a good piece of legislation, even for the Democrats. I know they want something, and there should be changes made. But let's get it through before Obama gets thrown out of office because he's not a U.S. citizen. You know, that attitude is not good. I mean, you saw last week they're rushing to judgment on trying to essentially steal people's retirement plans.
Oh, and that's
they're talking about bringing forth immigration legislation. They can't get cap and trade through the Senate.
We'll be right back.
Maybe.
Get ready for Real Talk Radio. You're listening to the National Intel Report with your host, John Stadtmiller.
By the way, Mr. Chapman, during the break I was talking to Robbie, who's now connected with us. He said that he's not taking a more active part in the program because, well, he's a fan of the show.
Well, that's understandable. I'm two outstanding hosts. I mean, what can you say? I don't blame him.
I learn a lot.
Robbie, what?
Yeah, we learn a lot too, and you're very, very informative. So we'd like your assistance.
Yeah, I mean, what if all three of us adopted that attitude? There'd be a whole hell of a lot of dead air here.
Well, yes. I understand that concept.
Hey, look, Bob, what I heard on Bloomberg, and there is nothing on their site, they're talking about Obama's grand plan of getting into annuities and mixing it up with people's retirement funds and 401s. Have you heard anything about this?
We discussed it last week.
I see. I must have been not a fan of the show and not listening. and talking.
Well, it was only you and I, as a matter of fact.
Oh,
and
crap.
As you always do, you like to talk like I do. So, and you're the boss, so you get to go first. But anyway, the bottom line is this: they're having for 30 days, which started last Monday, which is a week ago, so they got 3 weeks to go. They're taking commentary and having hearings on the possibility of somehow using an annuity to replace for retirees in pensions, 401ks, IRAs, Roths, and that entity, this annuity, would be, they didn't say what it would be consisted of, but it's obvious it would be government debt, which would be treasuries and agencies. Agencies are Fannie, Freddie, Ginnie, and FHA. Now, the question is, will they move on it, and how will they move? Number one, they are in an absolutely dreadful political environment. The real rating on the president is 35, and Congress is 26, and you can take most of those other polls and throw them out the window because they're all shadow government oriented, if you may. And it is not a good time to even discuss this. They may, because of the negative feedback that they get from probably most everybody, they may do nothing. On the other hand, they may make it voluntary, and that would be that what you would do, you would say, I have $100,000 in my retirement, and I'd like $20,000 of that to go into this new annuity. And then what they would do is use the collateral in the, and this is a guess now, mind you, in the retirement account, that collateral would be used to issue U.S. Treasuries or agency bonds against. In other words, the bonds would be collateralized because they can't sell them. And last year, 80% of all of that was purchased by the Federal Reserve that doesn't have any money. They make it up out of thin air, and it's very inflationary. If they went to a mandatory plan immediately and said, everybody in there, we're going to use your investments as a collateral, and we're going to give you these annuities for it, you might have a revolution on your hands. And so I don't know which way they're going to go on it. I rather think they might back off to a different time. If they don't, they'll go voluntary. And the minute they try to go voluntary, I will inform all of the people who listen to what I've got to say to get out while you can, because mandatory will not be far behind.
Well, and it's rather fascinating. We've got this Senate race now. And to go along with what you're saying politically, we've got Massachusetts, we've got Brown out there, and Coakley running for the Senate to replace the now dead. And I do not necessarily speak ill of the dead, but that's only if they're human beings in real life. But Kennedy, to take Kennedy's seat, here was the big pusher in the Senate and in Washington, D.C., for national health care, along with the Hillary Clinton. And it's the people are speaking out. It looks like Brown, the vote's going to be cast today. It looks like Brown is going to take the Senate seat. And, you know, how much of a liability is this for the Democrats that you have the President of the United States back in this Martha Coakley, and he gets booed and jeered, and his approval rating is absolutely nothing. I mean, this was like the second term of George Bush, where everybody started to hate this guy, and he was a liability to his own party. We're not even a year in. We're a few days shy here of a year of Barack your mama Obama, and he's already a political liability. This guy is going to end up being the most despised person, and the list, it's a stellar list. We've had people like Franklin Delano really go as a card-carrying communist. We've had a mix of all of them, but this guy is making a fast track to the most despised president in this nation's history.
Well, that's because he's a hypocrite. I mean,
what was that? I didn't get it.
He's a hypocrite.
Yes. Incidentally, I grew up in Boston, and I really know the mindset. And I was on with Brown about a week ago. I guess it was about a week ago, They had him on one of the mainline programs that I was on, and we discussed a few things. And I think what it boils down to is the outrage of the public in a state that is extremely liberal. And they have now found out that the new health care plan that they have in Massachusetts is costing much more money than what was anticipated. And yes, it's included more people, but it's cost considerably more. And they don't like it. And they don't want that plan. And they don't want the plan that's proposed in Congress. And this is a way of them telling the Democratic President of the United States, stop already, we've had enough.
Yeah. And you know what? This is a perfect segue of what you've got in your newsletter